Welcome back to lesson number 2, building a cause people want to fund. The last time we talked about moving from pressure to purpose, and we discovered that fundraising isn't about raising money, it's really about raising belief. But that raises an important question. What exactly are people supposed to believe in? That's what today's lesson is really all about. Because people don't fund confusion, they fund clarity. So here's the big idea I want you to see. Clarity creates confidence. If your team can't clearly explain your mission, guess what? Your donors won't either. If people have to guess why your ministry exists, they probably won't invest in it. Confused people rarely give, and confident people do. In fact, I was just talking about this to a friend of mine who was looking for advice because he's only got a handful of donors. He has a ministry in which he tells stories, but people want to know what those stories are going to do. It's one thing to raise funds to tell stories because it's going to make a difference in people's lives, but if people don't have a clear understanding where that story goes, then and how it's going to be used and how it's going to make a difference in the lives of other people, then it's just another story. And people have a hard time getting behind that. So we need to understand that confidence is what people need to be able to give. So that's why I believe the greatest fundraising strategy isn't better asking, it's greater clarity. So let me talk about some of the problems. Most ministries answer the wrong questions. They're asking them, "What do you do?" And they'll say things like, "We have camps," or "We have Bible institutes," or "We have missionaries," and "We have youth ministries," and "We have discipleship programs." I'm using all the ones that are related to the ministry I'm involved in. And in fact, it's even that much more difficult for us because we have a lot of these things, but we need to understand something. These aren't our cause. Camps are important, Bible institutes are important, missionaries are important, discipleship programs are important, but they're not the reason, they're not the cause, they're not why people give. Those are the methods that we use to make a difference for the reason why people should give. See, your cause is bigger. See, people don't support programs, they support transformation. Man, and this is so hard for people to understand because we want to believe that those things are extremely important. They're important because we could not do the ministry without them, but they're just tools that we use so that we can accomplish the ministry. They support transformation. So your ministry isn't about camps, or it's not about a Bible school, or it's not about buildings, and it's about creating places where people encounter Jesus. Always moving about beyond what you do to really why it matters. So let me give you some examples. Imagine two different organizations. Organization one says this: "We operate a Christian camp." And organization number two says, "We create life changing environments where young people encounter Jesus through friendship and discover God's purpose for their lives." So, which one inspires belief for you? Well, for me, it's the second one because it communicates transformation. Now, we all know that camp impacts lives, but there are a lot of camps, and there's a lot of camps with a lot of different ministry objectives. So, why do you have camp? Are you having camp just so kids can have fun, or are you having camp so that parents can have a daycare, or are you having camp so that you can potentially make an impact on their life that could change their lives for eternity? See, there's a huge difference, and we need to understand what that difference looks like, because what it does is that it creates a message of transformation. Here's a transformation question. See, every ministry exists to move people. They exist to move people from somewhere to somewhere better. Our vision statement: every young person taking their next step with Jesus. And we'll communicate that sometimes it's the first step in order to take the next step. But we want to move them from point A to point B, and then from point B to point C. We want people to understand that those are the things that we're thinking about. Those are the things that the Bible Institutes and the camps and Camp Crew, our leadership program for summer staff is, and why we have local church ministry curriculum, and why we have a worldwide mission, and why we have properties around the world. Those are just things that we use as tools to accomplish the vision. So think about some things. Think about what they experienced before they encounter your ministries. Where are they? Then ask, where are they afterwards? Those people that come into your ministry, where are they today? And then where do they go after they've been connected with you? That's your transformation. And transformation is what donors fund. For us, I feel like we have a clear transformation process. It starts with the local church. It's engaging with the local church. And through there, we're helping the local church, whether it is an invite people who do not know Christ, or it's inviting people who do know Christ to camp. And from camp, we use that as that 1 week opportunity to excite that young person to understand their relationship with Jesus, whether it's their first step or their second step. And then from there, we're saying, hey, well, let's make them a part of the leadership tool in which we can grow them in their leadership abilities. So let's invite them for Camp Crew. And then from Camp Crew, the next step is into the Bible Institute. Every step has to do with an individual's growth step. Not about a building, not about the actual program that gets them there. It's about what we're doing in the lives of people. So here's something I want you to do. Complete this sentence. The worksheet begins with one simple sentence. We exist to... Don't start with activities. Don't list ministries. Instead, describe what God called your organizations into existence for. So, for example, we exist to help students become lifelong followers of Jesus. Or we exist to equip churches to reach the next generation. Or if you're a church, we exist to help the people in our community grow in their walk with Jesus. Write your sentence now. Take some time, write your sentence now. The second thing I want you to see here is, why do you serve? Every healthy ministry knows exactly who they're trying to reach. Be specific. It's not everyone. Even this is probably the biggest mistake churches make, and they'll make the argument that we want all generations. We're trying to reach all generations. Well, if you're trying to reach all generations, there's a lot of generations there that you're going to have to cater to. So what is the ultimate goal? Are you trying to reach young families? Is the goal, like specifically as a pastor, we said our goal, and this is how specific we got, our goal is to reach men between the age of 30 and 40. And we knew that if we could create a culture in our church environment that reached men between the age of 30 and 40, that we would make a huge impact within the community. So we based our music around that. We based our environment around that. We based our programming around that. We based our programming around the fact that their kids would be in this certain age category. That was our focus. Did we still reach other people? Yes, absolutely. We were a very multi-generational church. But we needed to get specific, so we had a target to go after. Be specific. And here's something I want you to consider. Who breaks your heart? Who has God called you to serve? Maybe for us, it's teenagers, or maybe it's for you, college students, or young families, or missionaries, or I talked about a specific men's group, or a pastor's children, people in crisis. Write down your ideal ministry recipient. Now I want you to write down a problem, or what problem do you solve? So this is one of the most important questions you'll ever answer. Every ministry exists because a problem exists. So ask yourself, what would happen if our ministry disappeared tomorrow? What need would go unmet? What pain would remain? Describe the problem. Write these things out. What transformation happens? Now fill in this before and afters, okay? These are some before and after type questions. Before, what does life look like? Maybe they're searching or discouraged or spiritually lost or disconnected. Maybe they feel like they're without any hope. Now describe the after, okay? What comes after? Because your ministry is they're following Christ. All right. You are helping them to get to a place where they are now following Christ, or they feel connected, or they're growing spiritually, or they're serving others, or maybe it is that they're living with purpose. See, transformation really is the greatest fundraising asset. Transformation is the greatest fundraising asset. So now let's build the 4 things every donor needs. And here's the first thing: cause. What do you do? Describe it simply. It should just be one sentence, not a paragraph. It needs to be something that just rolls off the tongue. Okay? What do you do? Second, your story. Who has experienced transformation? People remember stories, not statistics. Think of one story that represents thousands of stories just like that. The third thing is the invitation. How can someone become part of this? Notice I didn't say, how can someone donate? I asked, how can someone participate? Giving is participation. It's not a payment. It's not a chore. It's not something that is forced upon them. It's something they want to be a part of. And then the fourth thing is the impact. What happened because people gave? You know, so many organizations, they provide the purpose and the plan and the reason why we need to build this building because it's going to make the difference in the lives of this person, but then they never tell the story. You want the number one complaint is for missionaries around the world, at least within our organizations, that nobody knows what they're doing. That nobody knows what they're doing. That they sold this idea that they were going in the mission field to reach this group, but they're never hearing any stories about reaching that group. Never assume that donors just know. We say this at work all the time. You can never thank them enough. Every week we have these life change stories that happen at camp, and we have camps all over the place. It's so easy for us to just send that video and say, look at the impact that God is making in the lives of young people through the camping ministry of Word of Life. Doesn't matter which camp it comes from, but just that little act helps them to know how much we appreciate them. Celebrate victories, report results, close the loop. Impact builds future generosity. So something I want you to work on that I think is extremely important is your 30-second story. Let's put this together. Every ministry should have one story they can tell in less than 30 seconds. So in order to do that, you need to ask these specific questions. There's really 4 questions. Who? What challenge were they facing? What changed? And what happened afterwards? It's very simple, isn't it? Let's go through those again. Who is the story about? What challenge were they facing? What changed in their life? And what happened afterwards? It's simple. It's very personal. It's memorable. Now, write your story. I want you to think of as someone in your organization, a story that is relevant to this. Write your story. And if you don't know a story, that's a whole nother problem we need to talk about. Next thing I want you to do is your one sentence cause statement. It really needs to be just one sentence, just like a vision statement needs to be very easily being able to be very easily communicated. At our church, it was love, reach, disciple. In our organization that I'm in right now, it's every young person taking their next steps with Jesus. What is yours? What is your one sentence cause? We need to bring everything together. If someone asks, what does your ministry do? Could you answer it in that one sentence? You know, many times I'll go into a place and it's like three or four sentences, and within there is they're trying to capture everything that they do instead of keeping it very, very simple so that people can understand. People are simple. Remember that. People are simple. Very few people are on the other end of the spectrum and complicated. So, could you answer this in one question, not 30? One, clear, simple, memorable. If they can repeat it, you've done it well. Here's my challenge in closing. There's an assignment this week. Share your cause statement with 5 people. Ask them one question. What do you think we do? If they repeat your mission accurately, you're becoming clear. If they don't, keep simplifying. Clarity isn't what you say, clarity is what people remember. Man, this is really important because internally within our organization, we believe that it's simple. But just because we believe it is simple and we live it every day doesn't mean that those who are contributing to our ministry understand it at all. They need to understand it. So here's my closing thoughts. People don't fund programs, they fund purpose. They don't invest in activities, they invest in transformation. The clearer your cause becomes, the stronger belief becomes. And the stronger belief becomes, the easier generosity becomes. In our next session, we're going to move from clarity to relationships because while people may believe in your cause, they give through relationships. We'll build your relationship fundraising blueprint and identify the people God may already be placing in your path to help fuel the mission. It was great spending this time with you, and I hope this has been an encouragement to you and is getting you excited about not only the opportunities that are in front of you, but how God can use things like this to help build your team and grow your team with not only people who are serving your ministry, but people who are investing in your ministry. Looking forward to our time together next time. See you then.